So Drake, let's talk a little bit about the Crater jig, and you and I have actually done some TV work using the Crater jig now to cue our listeners in. The Crater jig is a jig that has been designed by Tommy Kimos on the National Walleye Tour, and my understanding is the jig was about to come to market, and then COVID hit, and now we've got some delays in getting it to the market. But talk a little bit to our listeners, if you would, about the design of that jig and what makes it unique.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, Tommy Kimos put a ton of work into it. There's no doubt about it. He had it dialed to perfection on a lot of the things. He just wanted a few different styles of it. So what's unique about it is the bottom of the jig actually has like a little cup or a crater in it. So that's why we call it that crater head. Mm-hmm. So it's super interesting when it's in the water. You pull it and then it kind of like falls almost like sideways, or kind of however you want to say, hovers for a second before it drops. But not only that, when it lands, for some reason, and Tommy had this figured out on the eye point and everything, that thing stands up so well compared to a lot of other jigs. So that fat head or that shiner minnow or plastic or whatever you have on there just isn't laying on the bottom. It's it's up a little bit, so it's easier for those fish, I think, to see it, one, and two, to pick it up. It's a lot easier for them to suck it in.
Mm-hmm. So really, it's kind of a combination of a couple different things. Is number one, because of that crater head, the way it causes that wobble, slows that fall a little bit, and then also that stand-up design when that head is on the bottom and that minnow is up struggling. You and I filmed that television show 2 falls ago, I believe it was, in the Alexandria area.
Yep.
And we were fishing with sucker minnows, and a lot of those walleyes actually came and slurped that jig up as it was sitting on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you could attest to that too. I mean, you're almost just letting it sit there and pulling it ever so slowly, and they would just come up and sucker right in. So,
right, absolutely.
Hopefully it gets out to market here, like you said. It's just been a tough situation with the COVID and everything going on. Hopefully it'll come out here fairly soon, because we've been bragging about it for a while, and we'd love to have the general public be able to get out and have their hands on it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Drake, that jig, like you said, comes in a variety of designs as well. In addition to that, that crater style, there's some jigs with some weed guards, and then a model for fishing through weeds as well too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the weedless version, which does have the weed guard. And then there's one, it's a super unique shape. It's really for one, going through weeds, but then also, cutting current. A lot of guys we have been, Brett King has been using it in the current of the Mississippi River and stuff like that. It seems to cut that current well, does well in timber and stuff. So, it's one of those third unique shapes that, I think is really going to do some damage here in the future.
Right. And one of the things that we'll try to do, hopefully, as you said, that jig is not that far away from being released to the public, but nevertheless, we'll see if for maybe a future podcast episode that we can actually, Drake, have you come back and we'll actually show some of those different heads as they get closer to being available and kind of talk through those